different genre, like literally, like you uncategorizable. Then just leave it at that. Like, because when I'll see some songs, some albums that are labeled as alternative, and like Billie Eilish and Machine Gun Kelly, or Imagine Dragons, or like they're not the same. They're not the same,
No,
and I just hate that they kind of all get lumped together.
I do too. I think the genre thing I feel like is less and less and less important now than it ever
Yeah,
used to be. Um, I've always I feel like I just get too bored trying to do the same thing. And maybe it's because
yeah.
but my influence is like, well, we both love 21 Pilots, you know.
Hmm.
I love stuff like that. I love stuff that feels so unpredictable. I mean, I remember hearing Car Radio for the first time and I was like, what the
Yeah.
hell is this?
I
But then
remember dude, funny story. I used to hate 21 Pilots.
really?
Like before I really got into them, the first time I heard it, um, I didn't get the car radio thing. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And then it was like, why is this song just sucks?
Yeah.
And I remember where I was. I was walking out of middle school, and I was having some sort of bad day, and I hit shuffle on Pandora, and it came up, and ever since then they've been easily a top three band for me.
Yeah, when I heard it, I was definitely polarized by it too. Like it
I
took
think it
me
was just go ahead.
it just took me a minute to get it too. Um
I think it's because it was such a real song, and I hadn't realized that I had also felt the same way.
yeah.
Like I hadn't acknowledged that. So when it was said that way, it was kind of like, ew, I don't want to think about that. Get it away.
What
And
blew
then when
my
I
mind about them though is I never thought they would blow up. That's kind of the thing
Mhm.
about them. I was like, they blew up like
it
crazy.
it took them a long time.
Yeah.
They were actually originally a three piece, and
Yeah.
the current drummer Josh Dunn wasn't even in the band. And once the other two guys left and Josh joined, they started backtracking, all their stuff, everything that wasn't what the lead singer could play and what the drummer could play. So
Mhm.
and still maintain that energy. So they started running a lot of backtracks, and I don't know what did it or how, but it took them it took them probably like 2, 3, I'd say 3 years, at least 3 years, and then to get mainstream. I mean, it took every bit of, probably almost 10 years.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I don't know, with the music industry being as saturated as it is, and like you hear everyone kind of doing the same things a lot of the time, and I when I first heard that, I was like, this is on the radio? It like blew my mind. Like I was like, this is crazy different. And
You heard car radio on the radio?
yeah, I heard
No
car radio
way.
on the radio, and
Wow.
this was when they released Blurry Face, and they started to kind of blow up.
Hmm,
And I had heard car
gotcha.
radio, and I was like, "What in the world is this?" I was like, "I cannot even believe this is playing on mainstream radio." And
Yeah.
then, but I don't know, man. I think because they were so polarizing and they weren't afraid of taking risks is what made them so cool. They're not any kind of genre to me. You
Yeah.
know?
And they get lumped in there with everyone else, just as alternative, and it
Yep.
it sucks that like there's no credit for a unique band. Like there's so many unique bands that just get thrown into alternative because they're different and they don't exactly fit rock or pop or hip hop.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's exactly what it's unfortunate in a way, and I you don't now. Do you like Billie Eilish at all?
I didn't really like her new album. I don't care if I get flack for that or not. I liked like one or two songs.
Yeah.
The one before that, the one with the black background and she's sitting on the bed. I
Yeah,
don't
when we
remember
all
the
fall
name of it.
asleep. That one.
Yeah. That one was a good album.
I agree. Yeah. I didn't
And then
care
the
for so much for the new album as in comparison to the old one.
yeah, I like her when she's kind of like creepy. I
Yeah.
guess is the right word. Um,
Yeah, I dig that album more too.
and
You
even the one before
absolutely
that,
you absolutely despise Ed Sheeran.
yeah, we don't. You don't even want to go there.
Dude, the amount of memes you've posted on your story has always
Dude,
cracked me up.
he's so I don't know why. I'm sure if I don't know, dude. He's just so punchable. Like I just want to punch him. And I've never even watched I don't know who he is as a person or if he's like a really cool guy, but it's just he's so punchable. I know you're gonna clip that and put it on TikTok, but I do not care. I'd say that to his face.
Dude, it's a um, the thing about I definitely believe Ed Sheeran got popular off of just riding the very extremely mainstream white demographic wave. Don't get me
Well,
wrong.
yeah,
I don't think he's the best singer. I don't think he's the best at anything. That's the thing. I don't think he's the best at literally anything. But where I have respect for him is that, like, he. I may not like it, but I get it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I get
yeah.
why people like it. Doesn't
Yeah,
mean
I
that
mean,
I like it.
someone has to fill that
That
space, right?
void.
Because
Exactly.
like no one's really doing what he does, and it's just kind of like I don't know. It's like a Burger King cheeseburger. Like it's like yeah, you could go get it, but like why would you not go to McDonald's?
You're not wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you.
I mean, I don't know.
Your hatred though is just like peak because like you
It's
know
so deep. It's so deep. I wonder. I'm gonna try and find this video and try to play it through the mic. But there's a video of me at an old band practice, and I was maybe like 14 years old. So this isn't like a new thing that I just do to play up. But I
yeah
uh, one of my old buddies was playing uh, um, the Ed Sheeran song. I think it's "Thinking Out Loud." The one that like went ridiculously mainstream, and
yeah for
he's
whatever
on a
reason
yeah, and he's on like a goofy little electric keyboard, and he's got the strings setting on, and it's like bum bum, and I was like, oh no, here we go, and he would do it all the time, and I just randomly out of nowhere just start smashing the drum kit, no rhythm, nothing. I was just trying to drown out the awful noise that was Ed Sheeran's music. And then at the end, the video cuts off because my friend taking the video started laughing so hard. But I stand up and I pointed at the camera and I go, I hate Ed Sheeran. And I ever since then, it's just been like I've vocalized it. I don't care.
Yeah, man. No, I understand why. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think uh as a producer, I feel like you kind of have to be really open to like everything.
Yeah.
Even if you don't necessarily like it, you kind of got to it's like country music to me, you know what I mean? Like it's like it fills a place in like the music landscape. You may not like it because it feels too easy or it feels too just goofy
Yeah.
and and to me that's the same thing with country music. It's like, but I've recorded two country bands before, and
Really?
yeah, and I loved it. I loved working with them because when you're making stuff that easy, it's just really like stupid fun. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, let's put a riff, and I was like, we'll talk about like getting in your Ford F-150 and driving down the road, you know, like, and it's that's what it's like. Like, it's just very easy and fun, and just like
Hmm.
super fun and easy. Where it's like the kind of stuff that I feel like we do is it's much more difficult, um, to make sound really good and really well done. There's a certain level of respect that I feel like people just don't understand to it. Um, when it comes to even what I try to do, I've never tried to like stay in like the one realm. Like, well, you know that my new song Soul that's about to come out, like that's just a indie chill pop ballad. Like, there's no
Yeah.
rock, there's no, it's just very chill. Like,
I'm curious to see how that'll do on TikTok because you get a lot of like the goofy videos where it's like, I just wrote this song. What do you think? And then it's someone in their car and then they're like jamming out to the song and then they lip sync the chorus. And like
oh yeah,
you could do that, right? But I think that the way soul is, you could kind of fill a different market on TikTok that I'm interested to see how it'll hit.
I am too, and it's because I know that most of the followers that I've gained from me just shit posting is like, and the people that have followed me, and the thing is about it though that's crazy is it's all worked. And in fact, it's worked even better of recently. Like, I get thousands of views now. And even if I don't
Nice.
post every single day, I still get like, I still open my TikTok like a few days later and I have another 50, maybe 100 likes. Like, so the TikTok algorithm
Yeah.
at this point is just boosting me. And all I'm
Yeah.
doing is posting literally the same thing over and over and
It,
over and over.
but I love it. I love it. It's like a meme.
It is,
It,
yeah, it's a meme, dude.
I'll open my TikTok and I'll see the following up top and it's like, oh, red, cool, let's see. It's like, see you always matter. And I'll swipe and it'll be like, I see you are. And I just keep swiping. I'm like, yep, I love it. It's annoying, but I absolutely love that you've stuck to it as long as you had.
I think it's I think it's an a testament though of like how people consume it. That's the thing. Every time I post, man, someone new people see it. It's not like
Yeah.
it's the same people. It's always new people. So it's crazy to me that it's like, and I've had some of those go completely viral. My top one is 43K, but it's like, um, you know, it's just insane to me that it's like I am rolling with the meme. And Justin, he's like
Yeah.
my best friend, like as a producer in New York, like, and he was like, bro, you cannot keep doing this. You can't keep doing this. This is so stupid. You can't keep doing this. You can't keep doing this. I was like, dude, Hate Yourself, since I've started doing this, is on like 100 different playlists, and it's getting streamed like crazy. My monthly listeners are jacked up. I'm getting a ton of messages on Instagram. Like, it's working. Like
That's
it,
and that's and that's good. You need to start doing more that's just engaging. Like
yeah.
put a poll up or like one of the sticker response things
Mm-hmm.
and just let the because what feeds the algorithm, right, is people in engaging with your content. So a view doesn't necessarily constitute Instagram to promote you more in the algorithm. Whether or not you're getting views, awesome, but they're more irrelevant than a response or a share or a like or a comment. So
Absolutely.
something I always do when we post on our band Instagram is I just share it to a couple people that I know will either share it or comment or like it or so and so. I get it out to people, but that the share in itself constitutes as a share. So then it'll start to pop up in the people. So if I sent my most recent post to you and you even click on it, you don't have to look at, like, you don't have to interact with it, but you click on it, it's more likely to pop up in people that follow it's more likely to pop up in their feed than it was had I not sent it. So, and it's only more so if you like it or share it or comment. Like it really is just a big web of how many people can this reach.
Absolutely. And I've noticed that you guys have like this real engagement, real following because like even just your posts on Instagram get thousands and thousands of likes and you get tons of comments. So you guys have a real dedicated fan base that's actually there and that's awesome. Um and
It's
I
also scary because you post something and there's no room for error. So like if we wanted to post about um a song and we were teasing the release date or something and we were like, hey, this new song's coming out on December 2nd, um and we end up changing our minds like within the time that it's posted. If I posted right now, I all I would have to do is refresh one time and 200 people would see it. Like there's no room for error.
yep.
It's actually kind of sickening
Yeah.
the amount of people that consume the media from just some goofy guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's I find it really cool though because it's just but yeah, I definitely understand where like the room for error is most definitely there now. And you got to be like really careful about what you post. And my
Yeah,
Instagram following is pretty much died. Like the people that follow
yours
me.
has.
Oh yeah, most of my messages and people that get to me now are through TikTok. I would say 90% now is through
Yeah,
just them seeing it on TikTok. But
you
and then
should try. Go ahead.
well, and I used to have a pretty well. I mean, you knew me back then. I used
Hmm.
to have a pretty consistent, great following on Instagram, but I
Yeah,
think I wanted to kind of get
you,
rid of the whole. I changed a lot about myself, where I didn't
yeah,
want to be looking like this emo fuck boy looking dude on Instagram, and I didn't want to I changed my image quite a bit. Like
yeah.
I didn't want to stick to that. I wanted to keep this like pretty dark and mysterious vibe to me. And I feel
Hmm.
like what's funny about like the TikTok thing, Justin initially told me don't do it, but now that it's become successful, Justin's like backpedaling and he's like, dude, like
Yeah.
maybe you should play into this as like the mystery of you. Like you've posted the same thing over and over again, but he's like maybe like every once in a while like throw in a really creepy weird video with the caption over it. And like
Yeah.
just keep doing that and keep doing that. Like play into the more mysterious, weird psychological vibe. Um
Yeah.
because people are going to be making fun of it and people are going to think it's weird until they start actually looking into your stuff and they're like, something's like not quite right here, you know.
Yeah.
And it's
You do
what are you saying?
you do have like a very interesting image. It's like I don't know how to describe it. It's almost darker than a guy like NF,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. It's so like there's no way you don't make it. You know what I mean? Like that's how I feel about it. And that's not to just boost your ego, but it's like it's more so cool for me to be like, yeah, I know this guy and he's gonna make it. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that, man, because I don't know, I've from the very beginning when I started my music, I never thought like that. Like I kind of just I've always wanted to just make stuff that I liked listening to.
Yeah.
And I've always just been grateful if 20 people or 50 people just message me and say, "Hey, I love this." Like I did that when you go back to all of my old songs. Like you said, you really like "Underneath Me." I remember you
Yeah.
saying that on a story, and it's like that was like the second, third song I ever released, and like
That
did
one's
myself.
still in like a constant rotation of my music today.
Yeah, and that's amazing to me, man, because like that's such an old song to me, to where like I look back at where I was then, and I'm
Mhm.
kind of like polarized. Um, by that, even though I'm so overly critical. But like, I look back at that old stuff I was doing, and I'm like, man, this is like, my vocals weren't as tight. Like, I was kind of a little rough singing, and my producing was a little whack in some songs, and it wasn't quite as what it could be now. But um, you develop and you grow, and you definitely like see the journey as you
Oh,
go
for sure.
on.
For sure. And you've just got such like an interesting established sound. It's like a cool movie soundtrack is the way I look at your music. I don't know if that's like a
I appreciate
compliment or
that.
not,
Yeah,
but
no,
it's
yeah.
it's it's cool.
I'm just so influenced by so much, and I think I tried to like not put myself in a box, and I've always wanted to make stuff where, like, if you and me were in a room, we'd be like, what are we feeling like doing? Do we want to make something heavy and like in your face and aggressive and rock or metal, or do we want to make something that's like really chill and upbeat or laid back or kind of pop or maybe EDM or maybe like electronic? And I've never quite seen myself. The problem that I have with rock music, or like, if for example MGK's new stuff,
Mhm.
not that I don't think it's all bad, it's not. There's some new songs that he's released, from Tickets to My Downfall and from his newest album, that I actually really like. The problem that I have with it, though, is all of it inherently starts to sound the same to me, because it's the same
Yeah.
like pop punk beats from Travis Barker, and it's the same guitar. Um, it's stuff like that it's like, all of it starts to sound the same to me, and especially when it comes to like mainstream rock and metal. And I kind of get like, I don't know, like, it feels really boring to me. And then like this new Bad Omens album, or the stuff Bring Me the Horizon is doing, I listen to that and I'm just like, whoa, like
Yeah.
this is crazy different
It,
and
it's
weird.
it's just nice to be refreshed by something new. And I think a guy like Machine Gun Kelly kind of recognized, when he did the whole thing with Eminem,
Mm-hmm.
like, not that it killed his career and he had to switch up, because a lot of people say that. And that's just not true. The guy went and released a number one Billboard album the next album he put out. Like that, it didn't kill his career by any means. If anything, he's probably making the most money now than he ever has.
Oh, dude,
But
he's a genius.
but
I
he
don't.
recognized.
Yeah.
I at least I think I feel like he probably recognized that the rap community and the hip hop, what he was involved in was evolving, and he didn't want to be a part of that because it didn't align with what made him happy.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to adapt as an artist. So I appreciate anyone that's at least had like one or two genre like switches. I'll call it a genre switch, but like I really enjoy when there's something sonically different between album A and album B.
Absolutely. I totally agree. That's why I always loved Linkin Park. Is because,
Dude,
and
oh my
Linkin
gosh.
Park always got so much clapback because they were so different, and they tried to be so different and do all kind, like, I can tell indistinguishably, though, every time I listen to a song, I could be like, this was from this album from them. Like, I
Oh
know,
yeah.
because all of it feels like they exclusively made it for a type of vibe and a type of album that they wanted to do. And
Hmm.
they were, to me, like, incredible songwriters, incredibly different, even when they started with the whole rock hip hop mix with Hybrid Theory,
The
Meteora.
new metal stuff. Yeah.
Nobody knew what that was back then.
Yeah.
Nobody even thought of that. Like, that was polarizing back then. And but as they went on, they did more contemporary pop stuff, and then they did like straight up Metallica sounding weird rock stuff, and they've just been all over the place. And Machine Gun Kelly, to me, though, man, like, I may not like him inherently, but I can acknowledge that he's a genius at what he's doing. And what I
Yeah.
mean by that is, like, he's feeding into the fact that people hate him and people have this
Right.
grudge against him, and instead of like like stopping that, he like makes it bigger. It's kind of like the 6ix9ine
Yeah.
effect, you know, the Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Yeah, exactly. He really kind of is in that aspect. Like I think he named the second punk album that he did Mainstream Sellout.
Yeah,
It's like he took the words that people were calling him and wrote a whole album about it. Like if that's
absolutely.
not just the most boss move, like there's no way from a business standpoint that you could like knock that. And
Absolutely
I
not. And
and I
people,
see I go
what,
ahead.
what, what were you saying?
Mm-mm. Go ahead. It was
Oh,
kind of a topic switch. You go ahead.
oh, well, like, yeah, I completely agree. It is, and it's like the thing is I might not exactly like his songwriting. That's the thing. I don't know. I could deal with him as a person. The thing is that I don't like about it's just the songwriting. Some of it feels just so cookie cutter, or the lyrics about him like being in high school, hooking up with a girl,
Ooh, yeah.
and he's like 31. I just don't really get it.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
yeah, that there's that
or like
aspect
emo
too. But
girl, you know, it's just kind
yeah,
of like I
I
listen to his
that
stuff
song
and I'm
is
like really like,
atrocious.
yeah, I cringe a bit. But then I hear songs that aren't like that and I think are incredible. Um, you know, and like, but I think who he is, and it's like, and like he has this 6ix9ine effect where it's like you have all this attention about people talking about you and making fun of you that in a way that's better, and you want that hate to drive your career because yeah, he's even richer than he was when that whole Eminem thing happened. He's even more
Yeah,
successful. Eminem didn't kill his career. He didn't make
right.
him quit rap or anything like that. People that say that are just, again, they're feeding into the hate train. And that's the thing.
Exactly.
And that's what's driving them.
No one can recognize that like by expressing their hate on Twitter and bashing his inbox with whatever they want to say, they're giving him content.
Yeah.
Like you're making if you think he really has no career, you're in for a treat because you're giving him his career. Like what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's crazy to think about, but I think that's more important than,
Yeah.
good controversy and bad controversy is all the same. I think it's kind of the same thing. Like 6ix9ine, dude, like I am that dude is literally insane. Like full
Hmm.
blown insane. And his story sounds like something out of like a freaking movie, dude. Like
Yeah.
everything about the guy is like a Looney Tunes movie, bro. Like it doesn't it doesn't sound real, and this guy is real, and he plays into
Yeah.
the hate and the craziness, and dude, he just keeps getting bigger. And that's just
Yeah.
insane to me because it's just like, man, you would think as many people that hate him or think he's
Well,
corny would be like,
he kind of got deplatformed. No, if he hasn't, they've just I haven't seen anything from him in a long time.
maybe he's fallen off now. Maybe it finally went away, but like, um, I just think like to me, I love that stuff. It's just like crazy to think about, and that's kind of why I switched my image, and not because I was trying to be like this controversial, crazy, hateful person. I'm not like that at all. I think it was
Yeah.
more just like I wanted people to like be weirded out by like
Hmm.
the mystique and be like I feel like more having some kind of. I remember Spencer telling me from Ice Nine Kills, he said that his band didn't get popular until they had a gimmick, and that
Yeah,
was the
and
horror gimmick.
that's most bands now. You look at bands like uh like Slipknot.
Yep. Yeah.
They've got the whole mask, like kind of horror esque vibe. Or people like NF, he comes out with the cage and all that, and you got
Yeah.
guys like back to 21 Pilots. They've got their whole storyline and their whole the black paint and
Mm-hmm.
there's it. Once you have the gimmick, it's kind of over. Like if you've got good music and even just the smallest fan base, once you get a good gimmick that's not controversial but able to like be polarizing,
Mm-hmm.
it's raps.
Absolutely, I agree. Now I saw your guys' like new photos you took as Pleaser. Is it like, are you guys like gonna be dressing up like really nice like that on stage, or do you guys like have
I
transformation
don't know.
videos or something, or is that just kind
I
of a photo shoot?
that was just kind of a photo shoot, and what's what's so funny is all three of us are wearing uh, Graham, the guitar player. We're all wearing his clothes. Like we didn't have. It was really just like we don't know what like we don't know how to be cohesive because as people we're all pretty different in
Yeah.
terms of what we like to wear and the way just our styles. But what Graham is wearing in that photo shoot is exactly what I would expect Graham to wear if we were going to band practice or, just going to get coffee or like that's how Graham dresses every day, anytime I've seen him at least.
Yeah.
And Colin and I are both wearing Graham's clothes in that photo shoot.
Mm-hmm. That's so funny. That's hilarious. I mean, they're great pictures though. They're really well
That's the
done.
first. Thank you. They were taken by Matt Schladen. Matt
Nice.
Schladen.
Cool. So are you guys like
Um,
thinking about like what's kind of the next move, do you feel like, for you? Are you wanting to still do your own solo stuff, or are you just going to try to just keep honing in and focusing on nailing this with Pleaser still, continuing forward, or?
I don't think that the plan was ever to kind of really do solo stuff. I think I'd like to educate myself in Adal software, just to kind of
Just
because
in
I've got
general?
experience. Yeah, it'd be good to know.
Yeah.
Um, and if I make a demo here and there, it is what it is. But I think I'm just gonna kind of hop on my Travis Barker stuff and aside from Pleaser, anything I'll hop on anything with anybody. I want to be able to have I want to be under Pleaser, but I'd like to also have my own personal brand and not use one to benefit the other, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I completely understand that for sure. I mean, do you guys promote an awful lot on TikTok, or you guys
You know
rely
what's
on
so
Instagram
funny?
more, or?
We haven't posted on TikTok in probably 4 or 5 months.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And if we have, it's flopped. It doesn't get more than 200 likes. Um, but Instagram, that one reel, dude, it hit. So it got so big that we were just mind blown. We posted it probably 3, 4, 5 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
maybe longer, but it got 3 million views,
Wow.
and we had kind of just posted content here and there, and everything's kind of averaging. Like the lowest video I see in our reels between now and then is like 52,000 views. So even then, it's not like insignificant, but
Mm-hmm.
we just started running out of content. So we were like, let's just post the video that went viral again, just to see if it was the video or the algorithm.
Yeah.
We post it again, right?
Mm-hmm.
It gets 4.4 million views.
Oh my god.
So it got 1.4 million views more than the first time.
What
And
in the
we were still gaining followers from it. I can't refresh Instagram without having like the max amount of like notifications.
Holy moly. That's
Like
insane.
everything caps at 100. So like even if you get like 10,000 likes, it caps at 100 likes in the top right. So it'll be like 100 followers, 100 likes, and then some message requests. And
That's
it's just
insane, dude. That's
it
crazy.
got so bad because I'm one of those people that I've got to clear all the notifications on my phone except for my email,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't handle it, so I had to turn off Instagram notifications. I can't even
Dude,
I
that's
can't
wild.
I can't acknowledge it anymore.
That's crazy though, man. I mean, and that's just wild. And You see, and you guys posted the same video again, and it's still just
Yeah,
insane.
it just goes to show once you get a good video, like I'm sure we could probably remake that.
Yeah, just
Um,
slightly different. Yeah, just to
yeah,
make it a
and just
little
just
look
just different
different.
taglines,
Yeah,
and it would go viral.
yeah, and that's
But
crazy, man.
who's to really know though? Because it's you know it's one of those things. It's very much like the stock market in that way. It's always a different amount of reach. Like who knows what would do good today compared to tomorrow. So like
Oh
posting if
yeah.
we posted it again, it may, it may top the 4.41 and it may get 5,
Mm-hmm.
but we could post it and it could get less than what we're, usually averaging. So it's just it's the internet, and I'll never understand it, and there's really no way to perfect it.
No, there's
It's
absolutely not. And I've always, even me and Eris, and I've talked to him about it, where it's just like, I said, look, just getting it out there in any way you can is more important than anything. Like, you don't have to overthink it. Like, some of the videos I see on TikTok that blow up, people are literally doing nothing and they blow up and they get like 500,000 likes.
yeah,
Ha- Having
it's
some goofy caption and they're just looking out the window. Like,
yep. You've got to have like a 7 out of 10 caption, some quick cuts, and a good song to play in the background. Like
yep,
that's it.
that
And
is.
I know that sounds like an simplification of how to go viral, because there's going to be people that listen to this and then make a TikTok. Well, Jordan lied, but it's luck. You've got to have the reach, and and if you don't have it, you have to build it by sharing it, and share it with people that are going to share it
Oh,
to
yeah,
people that aren't the same people.
absolutely.
That's one thing I'm grateful for, is I've got different friends in different places, different friend groups, and the people from friend group 1 aren't in any relation to the people in friend group 2. Like the people I normally go and hang out with are not anywhere near the people that I play in a band with. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
totally different people, and if they were in the same room, they would not get along at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. I am I'm such like an introverted guy that
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm very just close knit. When you're my friend or the friends that I make, it's because I think a lot of that person. Maybe I have a lot of respect for them in some way. Like Justin, like he taught me everything I know about producing, and
Mm-hmm.
we've always been really good friends. I have a lot of respect for him as an artist and as a producer, just who he is as a person. Same for you, same for Eris. Um, and I've always been kind of really close knit just to the certain people I talk to and who I have any friendships or relationships with. And there's friends that I have that are obviously they're just not into music at all.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care anything about music, or they just listen to what they want to listen to, or and
Yeah.
and we don't ever talk about anything music related, but um I've always just like if I try to surround myself with people that inspire me. Like you inspire me,
Yeah,
Eris.
likewise.
Yeah, Justin. I try to just find friends that I feel like will make me a better musician or just a better person in general. Will motivate
Mm-hmm.
me. Because as you know, artists are pretty egotistical, and a lot of
Yeah.
times we have to kill our ego and we have to put our egos aside, and we have to like think about that, like ultimately how do we both become successful. And one reason I wanted to do this podcast and kind of start like as just like a fun thing of going is like, so there is more discussions with artists,
Mm-hmm.
and more people about like ideas and like what we think about what's going on in the industry today. What should we do, what should we not do? Because I talk with people about my plans all the time, like all the
Yeah.
time. I'm messaging Justin constantly about, well, maybe we should, like, for example, he doesn't want me to release Soul. He doesn't want me to release it. He's like completely against that song. He's like,
I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like once you've got it in the bag, like what would it hurt to have another song in your discography? You
mhm.
can only get more streams.
Well, his thing is he doesn't like the way I produced it. He doesn't think the
Hmm.
production's high enough quality, which I disagree with him. I think that's
I'm
kind of
You sent me
creepy.
a couple different mixes, and I really I enjoyed all of them. But
Yeah.
the one I told you that I liked the most, I hope you go with that one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that was one mix. Yeah. I mean, Justin, I would say he's more overly he's definitely way more
Yeah.
critical about production, and his thing is like, dude, Hate Yourself's doing great. It's a rock song. We need to release another rock song. You shouldn't release this indie pop song. That doesn't make any sense why you should release some like sad piano ballad thing.
And I could get that argument.
Hmm.
It maybe just be beneficial to do like a double single release and have another one in the chamber.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then it's like, so, and we've been working on a lot of stuff from here. I've had to buy a new
Sweet.
interface set up here for myself. I bought an Apollo solo interface. I'm
Nice.
ordering a TLM Newman soon to do vocal tracking for off of that instead of the SM7B. But so I'm kind of upgrading my setup as I'm staying here and going along with it. Um, that way it can be as high quality as it possibly can be. But I feel like Soul though I'm not putting a lot of stake on it. And I kind of told him that. It's like, I'm not necessarily putting a lot of stake on it that this is like the single. I just want to see what happens when I put it out and
Mhm.
start promoting it alongside Hate Yourself. Like I post 5 videos or 10 videos a day, right? And I post
Mhm.
one of Soul, one of Hate Yourself, one of Soul, one of Hate Yourself, right? And I'm doing both
Yeah.
simultaneously. I'm doing the one that's more the rock, and then I'm doing the one that I would say is more mainstream, indie
Yeah.
pop vibe. I just told him
I
I want to
think
see what happens if I do that.
yeah. I think what you're doing is a pretty interesting strategy because it's it's like if you were to release another song identical to Hate Yourself in terms of sound,
Hmm.
you're only going to hit the same market as you did before. It makes more sense to me, at least from like a numbers brain, to like hit a different market.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and what if Soul goes viral?
Right. And
What if that's the one that blows
then
up?
you kind of know, right? Then you know the direction of where the demand in your music is. And I think that would be interesting to kind of
Absolutely. And even if it
nail
did
down.
pop off, I still would do rock stuff. I think it's just like it's not that I would quit on it entirely. I think it's just more like I feel like I have different types of vibes, and I want to see what vibe works better.
Yeah.
Does does the Hate Yourself vibe? Do people tend to gravitate towards the rock sound? I think so, yes. But let's see what happens if I just release like a really mainstream chill song that has no screaming, no rock elements, just very mainstream piano. Like, just see what happens, the differences of it. But Justin doesn't like the quality of the song. He doesn't think that it's high quality enough. I disagree. I think that
Yeah.
I did a really good mix of it. He doesn't like me tracking off of the SM7B with the vocals, but everyone I've showed those mixes to, they like them a lot. Um,
Yeah, I think they're on par with some of your older stuff, really. Like some of the stuff that's hit more for me,
yeah,
the more emotional side.
they sound pro still, in my opinion. But when you get
Yeah.
Justin, and we're used to working with a $5,000 mic and all this crazy expensive
Mhm.
gear, and then I start trying to track. This is why though production is like such a there's no real rule. There's no like
Yeah.
real like there's fundamentals, and for example, I could like listen to Cold Feet or some of your guys' music, and I could be like, oh, I probably would have made that kick a little louder.
Right. But
I probably would have made those
that's
vocals sound a little brighter. I don't really like how he kind of did this and that.
mhm.
Like you can nitpick everything about the production, and man, I do it all the time to anything.
Yeah.
Like when
And
I'm listening to it.
I think that's like strictly a music brain thing. Like no one that streams the song is going to go, oh yeah, I would turn up this specific vocal at this specific timestamp. They're just gonna go, yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Absolutely,
Or
and that's why I like.
or the other way.
I've showed people Soul that have nothing, like they don't know anything about music, and they're just like, dude, this song gave me chills. I love it. You know, they didn't say anything about the song being like bad quality at all. They thought it was
Yeah.
great. Like, so it's
And
like
before you, I don't know how long you've like kind of been working with Justin, but like your first EP, like which, at what point did you start not doing all the work yourself?
I did Free, which was my first song I ever did.
Okay.
I did Free. I did Demons.
So is that whole EP just you?
Oh, those are yeah, pretty much. I think my first starting stuff was very electronic, very pop. Like Free is a pop, like electronic song. Flyway
Yeah.
was a pop, definitely EDM kind of song, and Underneath Me was like dark pop, electric kind of vibe. Like a lot of it was really like electronic kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And then as I went on, Justin was, you know, I was working with him, learning from him and stuff like that. And he was kind of like, oh man, like you kind of got like, you know, this kind of vibe and this. I mean, we went back and forth on what we should really do. And I kind of always was just like telling him, like, dude, I want to just do what I want. Like I
Right.
want to just make different kind of vibes of song. Maybe not everybody will exactly like. I have some people, they only like Hate Yourself and Always Want to Die and like the heavier, darker stuff. And then they
Yeah.
don't like any of like my chiller tracks, which is fine. But like for example, my girlfriend Addie, um, or like other girls more for a female base, they like stuff like Free, they like Flyway, they like Hey, they like F You Better, they like that stuff. They like the stuff that's more
Yeah.
chiller and it's just like laid back and it's not aggressive and in your face, you know.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like hitting a totally different type of vibe for them
So
where
like what is the creative process? Like how do you write a song like Always Want to Die? Because I think many people would agree with me that that's the number one song for a reason, you know? Like
absolutely.
how did you do that?
Um it was well, that song is very weird, and I was extremely probably in the darkest place I had ever been in my life when I made that song. I probably didn't sleep for 2 weeks straight. I was having sleep
Mm,
paralysis, awful. Um, I always had sleep paralysis as a kid, and
mhm.
that 2 week period though was just really hard on me. It was awful. I think that was the only time I legitimately thought I was like going to be dead, like straight
Mhm.
up, like was either gonna off myself or it was gonna be over, like something, because I couldn't sleep. I lost my job. I had a lot of different issues at the time that were just really traumatic and terrible. And
Mhm.
I put on this guy's beat on YouTube. But a lot of the times, what I'll do every day is I listen to actually other people's type beats. Is I'll just like go
Mhm.
online and I'll listen to, you know, Juice World type beats, or maybe I'll put in like XXX Tentacion type beats, or then I'll listen to like, you know, Linkin Park type beats. I'll listen to just whatever because it kind of helps
Mhm.
inspire me to listen to other people's work and to other people's beats, other people's stuff. Um, and I put on this guy's beat, and immediately as the beat was coming in, I heard the "And my time is running out, but I'm still dead inside." Like as soon as I heard it, and that was like in that 2 week time span.
Mhm.
I had heard it, and so I immediately took the SM7B and I put it up on my computer and I tracked it out. And then I tracked it out, and I probably tracked that whole song in 2 hours. I just nailed
Mhm.
it out, and you know, didn't think anything of it. And then I was chilling with Justin at the studio, and then I showed him the demo that I did over the guy's beat, and he was just like, holy shit. Like he was like blown away, and he was just like, dude, this is incredible. And he's like, we got to like,
So you were working with Justin at this point.
Yeah, and
Okay.
initially though, like he didn't necessarily have a hand in anything. Like he was
Okay.
kind of like in the background. Maybe he did some mixing stuff, but we weren't like working ever together. He was just sort of
Right.
teaching me to be a producer for other people when I was working at More Sound Studio because that's where he worked. And or the
Okay.
candy shop, is what they also call it. But and so I showed him Always Wanna Die and he was like, "Dude, we gotta do this. Like
Yeah.
this is like he still thinks that is the best song of all time. Like he always messages me and he's like, bro, like Always Wanna Die is the greatest song of all time. And
I think I'm just waiting for the right person to hear that song. And I really think you're missing out on not performing it.
oh dude, well, and I thought about switching up my tactic instead of promoting Hate Yourself, which I feel like is my second best to Always Wanna Die. I
Yeah.
I think it's pretty close. They're very two different songs though. They're very two different, and the subject matter is very different. So it's like Always
Yeah.
Want to Die is very much a very dark, suicidal kind of vibe, and Hate Yourself is about being in a very toxic relationship. So the subject matter is incredibly different. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, man, I thought about promoting that on TikTok and just seeing how it goes, but what he did is he remade his own beat. We took the same BPM, the same key I tracked it to, and we remade a whole different beat from that guy's beat. So it
Yeah.
sounded nothing like his beat. Um,
Okay.
and then we retract more vocals over it. They'll do like the ad libs and do like certain
Hmm.
stuff at the end, the harmonies and whatnot. Um,
Yeah.
and then I put it out, man. And as soon as I put it out, um, I put it out and released it for a Jake Hill challenge. You know the artist Jake Hill?
Yeah. That's how I found you.
Yeah, yeah. I put it out through Jake Hill, and because he was doing this rap challenge at the time,
Hmm.
um, and I was like, dude, this song is incredible. Let's just throw it out there and see. And
I'm still pissed off you didn't win that.
well, what's really funny is the winner of that, which is James DH, is the song I featured on his album Storm because he messaged me and he was like, "Dude, I don't know how you didn't win." Like he straight up
What? You're
messaged.
on the song that won?
Yeah, he had the song that won, and he messaged me after he won the Jake Hill competition, and he was like, "Bro, I
Wow.
don't know how you didn't win." Like it's he was like, "Do you want to
That's
feature on one of
awesome.
my songs?" And now we're good friends, and I talk to James all the time now. But like,
That's sweet.
so I feature on his song called Storm, um,
Okay.
off of one of his albums called The Fall, and that's a great song. But like, I don't like it when people that I don't inherently know and trust me, I've gotten tons of messages about that. I've thousands of people have messaged me for features. I mean, my whole message request folder is like feature after feature after feature request, and it's like I'm about to just be like, look, $500 or nothing, like, because it's just like goofy. But then like some people they will send me stuff that is just so awful, like legitimately terrible. Like some of the stuff that you hear recorded sounds like it was recorded through like a tube sock. Like it's terrible,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, I can't hop on this, like, or I can't even imagine myself getting on this.
Yeah. Is there any if you could have like like a guaranteed like a button and you hit the button and whoever you want to be on a song could be on your song, who would be on it?
Mm, that's so hard.
I know. I know it's a tough one.
Oh man, it's so difficult. Um, you see, even the artists that I really love, I can't seem like like I like The Weeknd a lot. I cannot imagine The Weeknd being on one of my songs. So it's like so I can't even like pick that. Um,
Yeah.
I would say like I don't know. The only I would say Phineas. If I
Like
had
Billie Eilish, Phineas?
Yeah. if I had to just
Yeah.
work with somebody in general that I feel like we could make really cool music with, it would be Phineas. Not even Billy. Like sure, if she's there, cool, but like he's such a great producer and he's
Truly
also an
is.
incredible songwriter, and I feel like it would be really cool to do something with him. Or Tyler Joseph. That would be the other one. Um, but that's probably it, because I feel like me and Tyler sound different enough that there wouldn't be any
Yeah.
like, friction there, because I would feel like, if I have Post Malone featuring on my song, I feel like I do the vibrato thing too much, and it would be like too similar to Post Malone sometimes. And then if I felt like I had like, I don't know, the Kid Leroy or something.
Ooh, that could go crazy. I
Yeah.
don't even like Kid Leroy like that.
Yeah, like the Kid Leroy, I don't know, but like it just depends, like, and it always depends on the song and the vibe. And but the cool things about like what's really hard for me about music making is that I have to be really inspired in it in that moment. Like it's the only way I can get really really good vocal takes is I have to be like really into it, to get just like
Yeah.
these incredible vocal takes. Like Hate Yourself, like as soon as we were putting it together and like feeling it, I told Justin, I was like, all right, let's track this right now. And he was like, well, we literally had drums. We didn't have guitar, nothing. There was like no
Yeah.
melody. And I was just like, just
Wow.
put down like a piano, like just to do the chords and just set the BPM, because like I just want to track this. I already know what I want to do. And he was like, okay. And so we went in there and we busted out Hate Yourself, all the vocals. And then
So do you usually write like that, where you track vocals before the song is the song?
um sometimes, yeah. I would say it's usually vocals first. The like Hate
Wow.
Yourself was all vocals first. So I like was hearing the melody in my head of the I feel you always
Yeah.
smothering me the whole time. And usually how I know it's a song that's worth pursuing is if I keep remembering it without having any reference. Like
Mm,
no video recording, no nothing. If I hear it in my
mm.
head constantly, then I'm like, okay, that's a solid one. Like that's a hit. Soul was like that for me too. Like that chorus of the "So run away and find your place a home."
Yeah, yeah.
That one too. Like I was hearing that over and over and over and over and over again. And so it's really just about the melody first. If I hear the melody, then I'm kind of like decide afterwards how the instrumental should feel after that.
That's
Um,
so interesting.
yeah, and it's not that I can't write to instrumentals. I definitely have. Crazy was like that. I actually
Hmm.
took that sample of the. I was making a beat. I was just making like drill beats, and one day, and I like found that sample of that choir of like the
Yeah.
and I like chopped it and cut it and reversed it a little bit. And I was like, man, that sounds really cool. And then I just like put a BPM to it, and then I immediately heard the chorus of that song, and I was like, well, I'm gonna track this and see if it sounds cool or not. And
That's pretty dope.
yeah, and it came out really cool. But sometimes I make beats though that are like I have so many beats, and some of them are just incredible, but I literally cannot figure out how to write to them. Like I
Yeah.
can't figure out like what is a great chorus for it, or like it just doesn't click some for some reason. And
Hmm.
when I try to force it, try to make it click, it comes out really bad, or it doesn't just come
Yeah.
out feeling really good.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I've wrote to other instrumentals though before. I would just say though, it's like most of the time I hear a melody, and then I try to write around that melody and to the beat, and then adding the drums, adding the guitars or any instrumentation after the fact.
That's just really cool to me because I've always done it the opposite way. I've always heard the instrumentation first,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very interesting because it's easier for me to build a melody off of instrumentation than it is just to pull it out of thin air like that. So it's very, very intriguing to me that you have that ability.
Well, it makes sense though, because you're a drummer, and your whole like hearing is coming from how you're feeling the beat and playing a drum beat, you know. So
Yeah, I guess I never thought about it like that.
like I've noticed that about most musicians is I feel like depending on what they're doing, and like I've always, but like drums for me, drums, guitar, and basses always come last. First though, it's the vocals and just the chords, getting chords out. Um, but like for example, "Always Want to Die," I wrote that to a pre-instrumental. I didn't ever have
Yeah.
that chorus in my head. I just heard that guy's beat and immediately it clicked. Like it just, I heard that. So it's not that it can't happen. It
Yeah.
definitely can still. So it just depends on like how I'm feeling the track and the songs and the vibe. And I don't try to. There was at a point me and Justin were trying to make basically another "Always Want to Die," like a 2.0
Hmm.
kind of thing where it was the same kind of structure, same kind of everything. And every time we did it, though, it just didn't work. It felt like we were just kind of trying to copy and paste the same exact thing. And
Yeah.
it would feel like we were trying to basically rip off our own song.
Yeah.
And it just didn't
That's
ever work. And in my opinion, I told him, like, I feel like if we're going to make another hit or another really incredible song like that, it has to be just in a completely different vibe and a subject matter. And then that's when Hate Yourself came through.
hmm
And we decided to do Hate Yourself. And I love Hate Yourself just as much as Always Want to Die for different reasons. So when people message me, though, dude, about Always Want to Die, I just am like, I kind of just cringe because it's
you
like,
just yeah.
that song I've heard so many times now. I don't even play it at all anymore. And Hate Yourself's the same way, too, though, because I've promoted it so much on TikTok at this point. I just sort of hate these songs at this point. Like, I just don't want to ever listen to them again. But people don't underestimate, though, the longevity and lifespans of songs.
hmm
Always Want to Die still to this day gets like 4,000 to 6,000 streams a day. And I do
That's pretty
nothing.
sweet.
Like,
I'm actually gonna look at what Pleaser songs do because we, in terms of like our best song, we're about the same. Like Always Want to Die is in comparison to Away From You. I'm gonna check that
I
out real
think you
quick.
guys have a song that's close to the amount of streams of Always Want to Die, but you guys have had more of a viral success than I ever had. So it's like, that makes
It's
complete
just so
sense.
weird. It's so weird because it's luck. Like there's nothing that we did that no one like
No one
where
else
there's
could
nothing.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone can do exactly what we did. It just happened that it happened the way it did.
Well, and
Yeah, you've got about 20K more than our most popular song on Spotify.
yeah, and Always Want to Die's been out for like 2 years. So it's been out for quite a long time. And it's like
That's that's about the same length of time that the our big one has.
the same amount of time too. I guess that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, um,
I think it came out like early 2021. I'm not entirely sure. So I mean, but in the last 24 hours, it's got 4,000 streams. So
Yeah, that's
it. I love the analytics side of Instagram and Spotify and all those streaming apps because they're so useful. And if you're not using them, use them because they tell us, like Instagram tells us if you've got the creator account, it'll tell you the peak time of all your followers, you know, what your audience is. So it curates your audience for you and tells you the answer. So we know that we do the best when we post on this day, and it works out because no one else posts on that day that is of any significance to us, like any relevance. Like there's no direct tie. So like yeah, there's bands that post on a Monday afternoon, but it's not any indie pop bands that we know from around here. You get what I'm saying?
oh, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
and Spotify, it's just so interesting to see like where we're getting streamed, and we planned our whole tour that we're doing in February off of those analytics. It's so beneficial, and if you're not using them to anyone listening or even just to you, you need to use them because they do the hard work for you.
They really do. Yeah, I mean, and they're extremely, extremely helpful. And and the approach of also what you told me, like, don't delete TikToks, don't delete like certain things because it kind of goes against you and the algorithm. And
Yeah.
but it is 100% all luck, man. And I think though, like compared to me and to why Pleaser worked is because, like, for one, you guys had an incredible video that made sense on like why it would go viral. Like I could see why 100% why that went viral. It's a good video. Two, your music is very easy, I think, for anybody to gravitate towards, whether they're really into pop or they're really into indie stuff or just upbeat chill stuff. Like, so it's where I would say I fall into the category of really dark alternative stuff where you only get a pretty niche audience towards that.
Yeah, it's harder to dig yourself out of a 10-foot hole than it is out of a 4-foot hole. I get what you're saying.
Absolutely. So I feel like that's another reason that it's all worked out. But all the analytics and like the things, for sure, the tools that you can use are incredibly helpful. I look at my Spotify for artists all the time, and I kind of just see like what gets put on certain playlists, and I'm on surprisingly like a lot of like Christian playlists and like Indian
that's interesting,
which is weird to me. Like Hate Yourself's just bopping in India, dude. Like
what are your top cities?
Let me look real quick. I want to say
oh, it shows me. I think Chicago's number one. Let me know when you pull it up. But yeah, I mean, we planned our whole tour around just our Spotify analytics. Like we're going to.
That's a smart idea. That's incredibly smart.
Well, yeah, because if the audience isn't coming to you, you come to them. We're pulling 30 people in Louisville, which is where we're from, but it's so hard because the scene here is dominated by majority punk bands or just harder rock bands, not traditional indie pop music or psych rock. Like we are in, at least from where we're from, a very niche audience because pop music, like if we were in California, I'd probably already have a mansion with $1 million, dude. But here we are in Louisville, Kentucky, and we're in a dominated pop scene. So everything just kind of gets filtered out because those are the pop guys. Like we don't want them on our festival. Like we don't want them to play our show. Or it's hard for us to kind of fit in with another band on another bill. So we just took our Spotify analytics and people had been asking us to go on tour because we randomly got 100,000 followers from a viral video, and when are you coming? When can I see you play? And we had no answer. We were like, our next show is in our hometown still. Like no one wants to hear that. So we're going to, I think, probably every city in our top 20 cities. That are at least in a reasonable location of the U.S. So like we're big in Australia, I think, and we can't go out there yet.
No, but that's dope though. I think that's a great move of just picking the target cities. Yeah, my top one is Chicago.
Yeah, I think Chicago's our number 2.
That's so funny. People just are, fucking with us in Chicago, I guess. I don't know anybody in Chicago.
And that's what's so weird is we're working with a booking manager for our tour, and she helps all the Louisville bands, the same people that kind of we don't fit in with, the same punk bands and whatnot. And she said to us the other day when we had a meeting, and she was like, "This is probably the easiest and the quickest I've ever got a band booked for a tour. As long as I've been doing it,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
we all kind of looked at each other and we were like, "It's because of the Instagram clout, isn't it?" And she was like, "Yeah, probably." So
Oh,
it's just
100%. Yeah.
it's interesting because we're not playing like Madison Square Garden by any means. We're just playing bars. So the fact that like a bartender in Chicago and also a bartender in Atlanta, Georgia, know of us to go, yeah, we want those guys here. It's
Yeah.
so mind blowing to think about.
That's amazing, and it kind of justifies it's a small world, man.
Yeah,
Like,
it really is.
it's a really small world. We think it's huge, but so many people know of other people. Like, even since I've been here in Kansas, there's people that I've met that knew certain people that I knew in Syracuse, New York. Just like weird,
Wow.
just so bizarre, like so far away, but people just know each other, and like I that's amazing though. Yeah, I surprisingly in my top 20, I have 14 is London and 13 is
Yeah,
Sydney, Australia for me.
we're kind of big overseas. It sounds like both of us are,
Yeah,
but
I have like 4 cities in Australia in my top 20, which is so
let
odd
me let me
because I
look
know
at ours.
nobody in Australia.
Yep. So we're big in LA, Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, and the number 5 is London.
Number 5 is I can see you guys tearing it up in the UK.
That's so funny.
Like, it's crazy. Well, and it shows like when people like just because something is not inherently huge in the United States, it can be huge anywhere else. Like, there's this metal band called The Devil Wears Prada. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but
I've heard of them.
they're not really popular in the United States. Like, they can't really sell out any shows in the United States, but as soon as they go to like Brazil or they go to Africa, dude, they like sell out arenas.
Wow.
But they can't sell
Interesting.
anything out in the United States.
It's just I don't know. Maybe that type of music tickles the ear of those the
Of
people
the
that
of the
live
Africans.
there. Yeah. It just
People in South America.
yeah, I mean, just wherever they're big. But it was really fun to kind of plan. Like we're going to let me count here.
So when does your tour start?
We're doing it in February, and
February?
we'll
How
run.
long is it going to be?
Uh, it's crazy. I don't know how we're gonna do it. We're going to I think 13 cities
13
in
cities.
13 cities in I think like 14 days.
14 days.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
my.
we're gonna smash through it.
You guys got to be hauling ass. Yeah. I was like,
Yeah, we will.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
so we're going to 5 cities that are in our top 20, and then we're going to a few others. But I mean, they're all on that list, and I think it's absolutely silly for someone to look at those numbers and those statistics and go, "Oh, cool," and not use them. It's
No.
because like yeah, it's mind blowing, but the minute you can switch over from like, "Oh my gosh, I'm big in this place. Look, it's so cool."
Yeah.
The minute you can flip that switch and start applying it to make your content better and grow quicker, it I'm not saying that my way is the only way and it's perfect, but I feel something in my gut
Oh, yeah.
that says that
Well, and
we're
you
gonna
just
go to
have
these
such a
cities and have good
you have a
turnouts.
good mindset about it, and I think you're very self-aware about what works and what doesn't work, and it's kind of why I wanted you on the podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like you have a lot of great ideas, and just like some people just need like that kind of direction of
Mhm.
like Eris is always more just like about image. I think it's just image, image, image. And I don't think that's the case. I think you need to have a great product. You need to have great music.
Yeah. I mean, you can have a bad image and great music. You cannot have a great image and bad music.
Absolutely. 100%.
And I mean, whether or not you like it is objective, but I'm sure there's a song on planet Earth where everyone could come together and agree that this song is bad. Ed Sheeran probably wrote it, but this is bad. You know, like it's one of those things, and you can't have like look at. I'll just take somebody that's big right now, like Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
You, all of his music is really, really good. A lot of people don't like his image because of the videos and just how much he doesn't care about what anyone thinks. I think it's awesome, and the controversy just stirs up more publicity. You have to A, not care, and B, also make good product. I think that making good music while you have a minute a minute image, like it's more beneficial than if you have a great image off the bat and then you're having to live up to that image. Like that's what's scary for us in Pleaser right now. It's like, what song do we put out next that matches the amount of views we got? Because they're two separate things. The image did all the work. We're not sure what does what now, because our most recent song is it's in all time, it's not our most streamed by any means, but in the last 24 hours it's number 3. So do we lean into that? Do we try to find the new avenue and maybe risk losing thousands of dollars on recording costs? Or do we keep hammering the same product and just match what we've done? So there's not really a correlation between the two, but you have to have good music regardless.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. The music should be good always. The product should be good. No matter what genre it is, and that's always very subjective. Of like,
that's kind of what I mean. Like it can be like you and I can agree on a band, but that shouldn't take away from, is this music sonically good? Like I don't know how you feel about Charlie Puth.
Yeah.
But I look at a guy like Charlie Puth. I hate his music. I hate his music.
I do too.
I hate his music, but you can't look at it and go, wow, that's not a great song, because the guy is literally a genius. His music is almost to a T perfect.
And I absolutely, I agree. It's just like Charlie Puth is clearly really, really talented. Do I think all of his stuff is very cookie cutter and easy like Ed Sheeran? Yeah. I do. I don't think but I understand why people like it. I understand why it's successful.
Right, and that's what I mean by it being subjective.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much a subjective thing. Like Addie, for example, she loves Charlie Puth. Anything by him. But we were listening to his last album, and I'm just like, man, how many like dance break basses can you have, like where it's just you doing the in falsetto every single song?
Yeah, I mean,
it's very,
it doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't, because it just works, and he's popular for that, and that's fine, and that's dandy, and that's cool. But yeah, he's definitely a genius as far as like, he's a great songwriter. He wrote "Stay" by the Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber. Like I didn't know that song. Yeah, he wrote that song and he just gave it to them. Like the Kid Laroi never wrote that. And It sounds like something he would write, because like I'll do the same thing I told you that I never could. Like, yeah, it sounds like something Charlie Puth would make. So it's like I could definitely understand why.
Interesting.
He is definitely a genius, and just because I feel like it's very cookie cutter. Like for example, do you like Imagine Dragons or no?
Are you about to hit me with a D's Nuts joke?
No. No, I wasn't. Why does that happen to you a lot?
Well, have you never heard that?
Yeah, I know. Well, can you imagine Dragon when you said Can you imagine
Dude,
me
I'm not
having
gonna lie.
this?
I know we don't have webcams on right now, but I looked at my webcam like it was the fourth wall, like a scene from The Office, and I was like, "Is this guy serious right now?"
Well, do you like Imagine Dragons?
No, but I used to.
Okay, what? Why did you used to, and why now? No.
I think it was because of. Let me just look at some other stuff. I think it's because of the industry that was kind of surrounding them when they'd first come out with their stuff. Like, what was the album called?
I think it was Night Visions. Was there?
Yeah, Night Visions.
Mm-hmm.
Night Visions. So you got to think 2012. So we're talking 10 years ago. That was music was a whole different thing. That's when dubstep started to get big.
Oh,
That's
that's when
when
electronica music was like really popular. Yeah.
yeah, and they kind of like they tickled a different spot in my brain. Like it scratched an itch for music that I wanted to have. Like, and then they had just all the number one hits that they put out. Like Radioactive's the obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got It's Time, and then Demons, and On Top of the World, and like all of those songs, and Bleeding Out, I think was in an Iron Man soundtrack or something. So it was just I had more access to it, and because I wasn't huge on what was out at the time, I really liked what they had to offer. And then about the time after they put out I'd say maybe I think it's Smoke and Mirrors maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of when I started to, because there was a few ones, but they started to kind of play in on the songs that I didn't like from 2012.
Yeah.
Like they kind of hit more of an electronica vibe, and then they came out with that god awful song for the Suicide Squad soundtrack.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And I think at that point I had kind of clung on to other music, and I kind of just gave up on them. And ever since then, they've kind of just been a meme for some of the songs they've came out.
Yeah, they definitely become like a meme, 100%.
Oh my gosh! And I read the word thunder, and I had the worst flashback ever. So I used to work at a restaurant. I was probably 16, so I was busting tables.
Yeah.
And they are you familiar? It was Bubba's 33. Do you have one near you or anything?
Is it a restaurant?
Yeah, it's like a sister chain of Texas Roadhouse.
Oh no, I haven't. Well, I've heard of Texas Roadhouse, but I haven't ever heard of that
Okay.
before.
So it's like everything that Texas Roadhouse doesn't have, Bubba's has. So they've got like wings, and it's more like sports bar, like B-dubs oriented.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of their focus. But I think it was every 3 hours, they would play, and there's TVs all along the building. Every hour, at every 3 hours, they would play Thunder with a video of some of the staff from like the first location dancing to the song.
Oh no!
And you work like a 8 to 10 hour shift, so you hear it 3 times.
Oh no!
Regardless, like it doesn't matter if you come in at 2 and you leave at 10 o'clock. You heard it 3 times, and the video always played. So I would always go hide in the kitchen where it was the loudest, so I couldn't hear it because the playlist was just not it.
Dude, that's so funny.
Thunder, feel the thunder. Yeah, dude. And then they came out with their newest album. How did you feel about that? I don't. Mercury.
What's funny is about Imagine Dragons is it's like, talk about like, so this is from like a producer standpoint, but like the way they go about producing is so blown out. Like the vocals are insanely compressed. The beats are insanely compressed and blown out. like, it's funny because it's like inherently it's not bad quality, but it's like the way they go about all of their production is incredibly blown out. Like me and Justin always go on about like their last album. I can't remember which one it was that I listened to, but they had some good songs. The thing is like with Imagine Dragons, I've never disliked them. I think they have some songs that have become incredibly. It's like Nickelback. You know what I mean? Nickelback has some inherently good songs, and then they have other songs that I think are just absolutely terrible, like awful, like should have never seen the light of day. That's the same thing with Imagine Dragons. Like Imagine Dragons has some incredibly well done wrote songs, like where they're really really top notch and the songwriting's really there, and then they have other songs that are just completely terrible. There's like no the thing with them is there's no consistency. There's absolutely no consistency with Imagine Dragons, where it's like I can't listen to an album from them. And the reason why is because there's only a few songs that I actually like, and then the rest of it is so awful that I cannot even like fathom like why they thought this was a good idea to throw on there. It's almost like they're like making a checklist box, right? And they're like, "Man, Believer's a dope song. Like that's a really good song. Now let's throw in this weird song
Right.
where you're talking about like dancing on the ice and stuff, and it like completely is like it feels like they're just trying to put in this checklist marks of like, okay, we fit the dark alternative people, now let's fit the very mainstream pop people that want to hear thunder, you the thunder, like, you know what I mean? Like it's like they don't ever have a consistency, and it's why none of their albums I've inherently thought were great. None of them are, I would say, outstanding, because there is no consistency on why it makes it really good in the first place. They've basically become the Nickelback of mainstream music, because people are like, oh, Nickelback sucks. Nickelback doesn't suck. Nickelback just has a lot of really, 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 really bad songs. They have a lot of really bad songs, but they also have a lot of really, 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 really great songs. Like, if they made a compilation of just the great songs by Nickelback, they're amazing. The production's amazing, the songwriting's amazing, and then you throw in the really terrible ones they've never released in, and it sounds like a completely different band in a negative way. And it's the same thing with Imagine Dragons. It's like the same issue, where it's like, I feel like they're just like in the studio with a list, and they're like, oh, let's do this kind of thing now, and let's do this kind of thing now, which I kind of do that to a point, but it's like, if you're going to do something that's a completely different vibe, at least make it make sense. Like make it as good as what you did, if that makes sense, because it just doesn't make sense to just completely go off rails for no reason either. Like, and that's the problem, but their production is so blown out. I mean, they're limited in clipping like crazy. The vocals are so unbelievably compressed, but this is the stuff, is like people don't notice this stuff. They just don't even care. Like, they don't think about it, and they're just like, oh, it sounds good. And it does sound good, but it's like, when you look at why, though, for example, the new Post Malone album, 12 Karat Toothache, you said you liked that album, right?
I loved that album.
So me and Justin absolutely can't stand that album. We can't
really
stand it. No, because the production's horrendous. It's awful. It's clipping everywhere. Like, the mastering is terrible. The vocals are like so unbelievably underwater and compressed. But this is the thing. Nobody notices. Like, nobody cares. Right?
See, I've got a music ear for that. Like, I'm not a producer by any means, but I've got a producer's ear. But I didn't mind it. It almost felt like it was so much that it was intentional.
And maybe it was. Maybe they wanted it to be that way. Maybe that's kind of what they did. And so to Justin, like, he's listening to it, and he's like, this is awful. Like, this whole album sounds terrible. It's mixed terribly. The production's terrible. But and there was quite a few songs. I would say Hollywood's Bleeding's my favorite album by him. But There was
I
some
haven't
music.
listened to that one in a long time, so I'll have to go back and listen to it. But I do remember enjoying a lot of those songs too.
Yeah, Hollywood's Bleeding, I would say, is my favorite from him. But 12 Carat Toothache had a lot of good songs too. Like I really liked um, Reputation. I really liked Insane. Um, I liked Lemon Tree. I liked a couple of ones that were on there that were really good.
Yeah,
Um,
I liked Reputation. Cooped Up's all right. Like when I'm just in a mood. I'm not a big Roddy Rich guy, but him on there kind of like was a good introduction to like his music for me. Like I'm not big on just anything he's really made, but that
mhm.
was a cool like gateway into that.
Absolutely. Eris just messaged and he said he'll be home soon. He's fighting Atlanta traffic. So
Okay, do you want to do you
how much longer do you got?
I've gotten to like 5 o'clock. So if you want to cut this and we can like you can edit it, we can do like a second episode or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep this because I think we've been talking for about 2 hours.
Yeah, we've
Um,
been going for a minute.
okay, so an hour and 30. So I'm gonna stop recording this right here and
Okay.
cut it.